Guys, it's LivelyLys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today we're going to be doing the updated and revised how to use Adobe Illustrator. Now, I liked my last video, but I feel like I left stuff out and I also don't like the way I kind of structured it. I also saw that y'all had some questions in the comment section, so I will be also answering those in this video. Now this is part 1. There will be a part 2 because this video is already long and I didn't get to go over everything I wanted to, and I want to hurry up and get it out, so I was like, okay, I might as well post this one and then let y'all get the rest of it later. Okay, so right when you open Adobe Illustrator, this is the first thing you're going to be greeted with. Depending on what you're doing on the app, if you don't have any files you need to open or any designs you want to use, you're just going to go to New File. And then depending on what type of art you're doing, so if your art's for mobile, web, print, film, art, that's what you're gonna choose. And of course, you don't always have to create a new file. You can always open a new file. So if you have any past designs or any documents you wanna open in Adobe Illustrator, all you have to do is select open and then select whatever file you want. For my mockups, it's always gonna be the AI file. Okay, so first let's get into the tool that you're going to be using the most in Adobe Illustrator, and that is the selection tool right here. And what this allows you to do is select entire objects and groups. Also lets you rotate objects and scale them to your liking. The one common thing that the selection tool and the direct selection tool have in common are these little arc bubbles up here, which allow you to arc the shape, which come up whenever there's points on an object. So if we were to drag down this arc bubble, it would just create a circle with all the points. You can also grab these points individually. Now let's move on to the direct selection tool right here, which allows you to select and adjust anchor points to reshape the path. So right here is an anchor point. You can see that because it says anchor right whenever I select it. And so if I click that anchor point, I can reshape that anchor point. And since it's a corner, it doesn't have a path, but if I round it off by using this, these two paths come up, which you can adjust just by selecting them and dragging them. And unlike the selection tool, whenever you grab group objects, it selects it as a whole group. But with the direct selection tool, it grabs the group objects individually and also allows you to change the appearance of it. Now let's get into group versus ungroup. So group is what combines all the objects together so that it acts as one. For example, these three shapes are three separate objects, but since they are grouped together, I can move them as one. And you can group objects by going to Object up here and then going to Group. But when all three of these shapes are ungrouped, they act as its individual shapes. But again, if we were to select all of these, and group it together, it would then all act as one. Okay, so now let's get into the eraser and scissor and knife tool. So what the eraser tool basically allows you to do is erase space but keep those closed paths. So if I were to go down the middle of this square with this eraser tool, it would still create a closed path, and it made these two separate objects. Now instead of it being white opening, it has black all around the object, compared to if we were to use the scissor tool and go down the middle, selecting the top and bottom, it would separate these two without closing this path on this side. Because if this were a closed path, this is what it would look like. So let me grab the pen tool and go ahead and close it. It would have the black outline all around it, just like it did whenever we used the eraser tool. For example, maybe I want to crop this shirt. All I would do is select and go to the scissor tools. And now, as you can see, I do already have 2 points right here across from each other. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and cut these points. Cut right here and then right here on the other side. Now again, remember what I said last time, because we use the scissors, it allows it to be an open path instead of a closed one. So again, how to fix that, we would select this point and end it, and boom. Now it has the complete fill. Now if we were to use the knife tool and go straight down the middle, it would cut it just like the eraser did. Okay, so now let's get into the pen tool, which is right here, or P on your keyboard. And what this does is allow you to create paths and shapes using the pen tool. And every time you make a path, it doesn't have to be straight, horizontal, or diagonal. Right before I'm about to plot this next line, I'm gonna hold it down, and now you can see the handles come out, mainly because this is rounded. So of course now, if I press A, select the direct selection tool, I am now allowed to manipulate these points to get the shape I really want. Just like we can create paths and shapes with the pen tool, we can also take away and add paths. So for example, if I wanted to turn this hoodie into a windbreaker, all I would have to do is remove these first. So you can select multiple objects by holding down Shift while selecting everything, and then just delete it. So in order to make this even look remotely good, we're going to have to get rid of this hood area on the mockup. So now what we're going to do is select the mockup, and then go to delete anchor points. And now we're just going to delete every single anchor point up here. Okay, so now that we got that, we're going to go ahead and move this back on. Line it up right here. And now I'm just going to select these points and line it up to this point back here. So this one right here. So I'm going to select this one too, and then move it right here. And then also add a point right here so I can tuck this inside and then fix that angle. Do the same thing over here. So add a point, tuck it in. And I did make a mistake by leaving this right here, but that's no big problem because all we got to do is select this. And now we're going to go to Shape Builder tool. And since we want to take away just this part, we're going to hold Option while selecting this. And what this is going to do is just take this away. And boom, it's almost like it wasn't even a hoodie at first, you know what I'm saying? Now it's just a windbreaker or whatever you want it to be. Okay, so now let's get into how to turn a sketch into a vector. So I got my sketch right here, and now all you got to do is grab your phone, go to the camera, and now we're just going to take a picture of the sketch. After that, you can either email it or airdrop it to the device you have, depending on what you're working with. All right, so after we sent it to our, airdropped it or sent it to our email, now we're just going to place it on our document. And we can do that by going to File up here, and then select Place. And now we're just going to locate our picture. Mine's right here. So now I'm just going to open it and then place it down. Now after you place it down, there's two ways you can go about this. So the first way is grabbing the pen tool, and let's select the color we want. I'll go with red so you guys can actually see the outline. And now all I'm going to do is plot the lines, just making this shape. All right, so we just trace the whole shape, make any adjustments we need to, and now all we're gonna do is slide this off. And now it's the perfect outline of it. If you want to adjust the shape, like we learned in the beginning, all you have to do is select the direct selection tool and move the points as you want, or again, curve them if you want. Now let's move on to the second way you can vectorize your sketch. Go to Window right here, and then go to Image Trace, put it right here. And now I'm going to deselect this and select it again so we can get all this going. And now we're going to select Preset, and you can choose any one of these. Now the one I recommend is always going to be sketched art, because it literally just takes the art itself. That's it. And then you can click expand and take away these points, just like this. And now you got your shape. Now let's get more into the shape builder tool, which is right here. What this tool does is create new shapes by combining them or erasing some parts of it. So like you saw last time, we erased the back of the collar because it just didn't look right. And right here, what we're gonna do to make this look good and make it look like the leaf I want, and since these circles really do come together to make that shape I want, I'm just gonna again grab the shape builder tool, hold down Option to take down these parts, and now I'm just gonna go across them. Boom. And now it's just that shape alone. But I know we've been erasing instead of combining the shape, so now I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like whenever you actually combine the shapes. So here's 3 circles and a rectangle, and what I'm gonna do is combine all of them to make up a cloud. So I'm just gonna go through all the shapes I want together and then let go. And boom, now we have a cloud. But you can also use this tool on mockups. So for example, if I wanted these sweats to turn into shorts without doing really any work, all you would have to do is create a line through here, select the silhouette and the line together, and then again we're going to grab the shape builder tool, hold down Option and go through this. And now we have shorts. Yeah, if you want to color your mockup, all you have to do is select your mockup with the selection tool, and you can change the color right here or under the properties panel. So what we're going to do is go to the fill, and this is what changes the inside color of it. So as you can see, this is gray, but it has a black outline. So this is going to be changing the gray on the inside. So we go to the fill, and you can change it by messing around with these, or you can go over here and mess around with the color panel right here, which also gives you the hex code to the color, so that's very convenient. And then if you want to change the color of the outline, all you have to do is go to the stroke and then select the color you want. I'm just going to keep it black, but with the stroke you can also increase the stroke or decrease the stroke. Strokes aren't only the outline of objects, it can also be paths. So these all right here, the stitching, are all paths, and you can get the stitching. Do is make a line with the line segment tool, and then you're going to go back to the properties panel, select the word stroke, and then click dash line. You can also mess with how big you want the stitching inside it, or you want it small, and you can also mess with the weight of the stroke. Now let's get into the shape builder tool, which allows you to color in closed paths, unlike the fill tool and stroke tool, which again, the stroke just gets the outline and the fill is just the inside. You can't color this in if you wanted to, but with the fill you can. So for example, if I were to select both of these squares and go to the shape builder tool and then select live paint bucket, now I'm just going to select the colors I want. So for the first color, I want this orange right here, only in the top, not in the middle. It allows me to do that. And I like to think about this tool kind of like a coloring book. You're just filling in the lines. And we can use this on mockups by, again, maybe you want this bottom half to be different from the top half, right? So maybe I wanted all of this to be gray, but this bottom half. And I want the inside of the shirt to just be blacked out. You can do that. So again, instead of using the fill and changing the whole appearance of the mockup, not being able to do it individually, all you gotta do is select everything again, go to the live paint bucket, and now we're just going to color in the spots we want to be colored. And like I said earlier, I do want this bottom half to be a darker gray, and all I have to do that again is just click it, and I can do the sleeves and just color in whatever I want, because again it's getting the closed path. So okay, now let's get into the recolor tool, which allows you to recolor your artwork. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and select the mockup and go right here to Recolor. And before I get into the generative recolor, I'm also gonna show you a little trick that you can use. So say if I wanted this mockup to kind of have the colors of this one, all I would have to do is go to Color Theme Picker and then select this. And now it's just gonna bring those colors over to this one and give me different color combinations I may like. Okay, now let's get into generative recolor, which allows you to type in a prompt to get the colorways you may want to use for your artwork. Or again, you can use the sample prompts that they provide. So for example, if I kind of wanted to go with this colorway and those colors, I would pick that one. And it'll give me different variations of that. And it is kind of still in beta, so that's why it's appearing as the same garment. Now let's get into typing in our own prompt. So say if I had a brand that was revolved around outdoors and hiking, I would just type in hiking and then hit enter to see the different variations it gives me from that prompt. There we go. Okay, now let's get into the blend tool, which allows you to make repeated patterns or blend the shapes. For example, maybe if you want a ribbed hem or cuff, all you would have to do to get that effect is make straight lines down. Let's make a straight line right here, and then at the end where you want it, so also right here, you can make a straight line again by holding down Shift on your keyboard. And then we're gonna go to the blend tool right here and then select the first line you made and the second. Now we're gonna double click the blend tool because obviously this is too many lines in between. So what we're gonna do is select the spacing and go to specified steps. And I'm gonna go ahead and delete this and just put 68. And now I'm just gonna go up and down on my keyboard and adjust that until I like it. And I'm liking how this looks so far, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that on the other side by copying and pasting and then drag it over to the other side. And you can also do this right here, but if you do wanna do this effect, but it's not fixing the shape, this is where clipping masks do come in hand. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and make the shape around the shape here with the pen tool. And then go ahead and connect it. And now I'm gonna drag this behind here. Fix this, but put this behind it. And now we're gonna select both. Go to Object, and then Clipping Mask, Make. Now we're just gonna drag it on in there. And adjust it as we need to. And then again, copy and paste it and put it on the other side. And now you have ribbed hems and ribbed cuffs just by using the blend tool. I also like using the blend tool when I'm making buttons. So again, it's really the same process. You'd make a circle on the garment you want and then make the button as you want. Fun tip, you can use this gradient right here, and if you change this, oh, delete that one. But if you change this one also to gray, you can get like a silver button type feel. So again, we're gonna copy and paste that below it. Select both of them again, go to the blend tool, select this one and then that one, double click it, and then adjust it to your liking. But if you do want an ombre effect, you can do this. So whatever color you want it to like bleed into, that's what you're gonna put. So I'm just gonna put this orange again. And now I'm gonna select both of them. And now I have this ombre effect. And what I could do with this is make this into a clipping mask. So I'm just gonna grab the silhouette of this, drag it over here, and I'm gonna size this up until it fills the whole thing. And now we're gonna select both and then make it into a clipping mask. We're gonna go ahead and take the fill off of this. And now we're just gonna send it back to the back. And now all you gotta do is drag it behind it. And of course we have the type tool, which allows you to type whatever you want. And over here on the properties panel, you can change the color of it, add a stroke to it, make the stroke bigger or smaller, and you can change the font to whatever you want. But if you hold down the type tool, there's more that you can do with this tool. So right here we have the area type tool. So if we make a shape, select the tool again and select the path, it puts all the text within that object. The type on the path tool, which allows you to, it's what you think it would be. You're just really typing on a path. The vertical type tool, which allows you to type vertically. Vertical area type tool, which is similar to the area type tool, but now it's just going vertically down within that shape. So again, we're going to do the same thing, but now it's just going to do the shape, but do the text down. Vertical type on a path tool, which allows you to type on a path vertically, and it'll just follow that whole path down. Now moving on to the touch type tool, which allows you to shift, scale, rotate, and overlap individual letters within a text. So you can move it, scale it up, rotate the E if you want. Next we have the pan tool right here, which is a pretty simple tool. It really just allows you to move around the canvas by selecting and dragging. Or you can use the rotate view tool, which lets you rotate the canvas altogether. Okay, so now let's get into the new tool that is in beta right now, and that's the dimension tool, which is right here next to the eyedropper tool. And what this allows you to do is plot vertical and horizontal lines. But another cool thing about this tool is that it automatically plots those lines for you. So before we get more into it, let's go over what the different things are. So the dimension tool is this line in the middle, which shows the extension of how long that product or garment is. And you can of course change the color, line width, so the stroke, the arrow, and how big you want the arrow. And then also you can change how the extension line looks. So it's this one right here that's outside of the dimension. This just emphasizes the dimension line too. And of course you have the dimension text that you can also change the color, the font, style, size, and the position of it too. But now let's move on to angular dimension, which gets the angles of the dimension. The radial dimension, which gets the dimension of the arc. So this could be used if you're wanting a dimension for your collar, your circle in a design, or anything like that. Now let's get into the beta retype tool, which allows you to find the fonts within the designs or images you want. So for example, all I would have to do is, all you gotta do is click on this photo because I want to find the font of the I in mockups. And before we do this, so we know it works, the font is American Typewriter bold. Now let's go to Retype Beta and see what it cooks up. And boom, it's right here, and it gives you the option to favorite it or activate it right here so you can use it right away. Okay, now let's get into how to make your mockups look distressed or get that mohair look. So, for example, if you want this to appear like it's mohair, kind of that fabric, and give it that appearance, all you would have to do is select this, select the paths also, and now we're going to go to effect up here, distort and transform, and then roughen. And I know this looks crazy right now, I know this looks crazy, but what we're going to do is change this one to absolute, and then we're going to lower it down a little, see what looks good, see what doesn't. It looks like this is what I'm gonna go for, and now I'm just gonna mess around with the detail. So I'm just gonna go up and down and play with it until I get the look I like, and then I'm gonna click OK. Now, if we want our hoodie pockets or anything to appear distressed, you would kind of do the similar thing. So what we're going to do is copy this and then paste it. We're going to take the fill out, and now we're going to go back to effect, distort and transform, and then roughen. And then again, play with these until you get the look you like, and then select OK. And now all I'm going to do is place it over the pocket again. And this is what gives it that kind of distressed, ripped look that you see on actual hoodies. Now if we want to make it appear like the hoodie is even more distressed and kind of have rips in it, now what we're going to do is grab the rectangle tool right here, and we're going to make a little square right here. Now, and then we're going to change the stroke over to the fill. And another way to just swap that out real quick is just to go to here, and what this represents is the fill and this is the stroke. So if I want the fill now to be the stroke or vice versa, all you would have to do is select this. And now instead of having a black stroke, you have it filled. We're going to zoom in a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. So distort and transform and then roughen. And now we're going to really play with this until we get the look we like. And boom. And this is like a very simple way. Again, there could be other ways. You could do other ways, but this is the way I like to do it, and why not share that with y'all? Okay, so now we're gonna get into the shape tools, which is right under the text tool. The first one is the rectangle tool, and you can either make any type of rectangle, square. If you wanna make the perfect square, hold down Shift, and it'll continue to scale it up and down and be the perfect square. But moving on, now we have the rounded rectangle. So it's just basically the same thing, but these corners are a little rounded, as you can see. And like I said earlier, you can just round these more if you want to by dragging this down. The ellipse tool, which allows you to create ellipses or circles. Again, you can create the perfect circle by holding down Shift. The polygon tool, which creates polygons for you. Again, hold down Shift for the perfect one. And also with this one and the star, you can go up and down on your keyboard to add more points to it or take away points. So if you ever need a perfect triangle, you got it right here. And now the star tool, which allows you to create a star. And like I said, with the polygon tool, you can go up and down on the keyboard to add or take away points. And you can also round them by holding these down. Okay guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also be on the lookout for part 2 for this video. And also let me know in the comments which y'all want to see in the next video. And if you're wondering where I got all the mockups and everything I used in that video, you can get everything at LivelyLys.com. Use code Vector for 10% off. That's our little secret. Code Vector for 10% off. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Till then, see you next time.